In my childhood, I had a favorite stuffed toy, which was about the size of a small couch cushion. It was something between a cat and a bear, yellow in color, and I'm still not sure about its zoological classification. It had a short tail, big ears, and red fabric for its fur. Its eyes were bright blue plastic beads. That's the kind of strange bear it was. I used to take it everywhere, and I wouldn't part with it, not even in my crib. Out of all the toys from my nursery days, the bear was the last one to be forgotten. However, as I inevitably grew up and became a bearded man with tattoos, my love for motorcycles replaced the plush teddy bears. A year ago, I met a girl. Well, I wouldn't say we exactly met. I took her for a ride on my motorcycle. We spent some time together, and then we parted ways. She wanted a serious relationship, while I was more of a free spirit. As the saying goes, a biker is only married to the road. This girl turned out to be very stubborn, didn't want to part ways, and even created a couple of scenes, but I made it clear she was going in the wrong direction. And now I believe she's the one who brought the troubles I'm going to tell you about. Not that I believe in strange things, but judge for yourself when you read my story. This girl was originally from Altai, and according to her words, her ancestors were either shamans or witchers. She mentioned it a couple of times in our conversations, referring to her eccentric grandma who had 7 husbands, all of whom had died. When this girl finally realized I had no intention of having a relationship with her, she promised to teach me to appreciate her love. I didn't pay much attention to it and soon forgot about it altogether. A couple of weeks later, I had a dream about the teddy bear from my childhood. After this dream, I remembered the toy for the first time in 25 years. The dream was unpleasant. The bear was standing in the middle of an empty room, under the flickering light of a hanging light bulb. All what looked like a hurricane was brewing outside the window. The bear was staring straight at me and reaching out its paw towards me, as if pointing at something behind me. I didn't give the dream much thought, but the next day, while I was on my way to the motorcycle club, a drunk driver in a 9 cut me off, causing me to collide with an oncoming car, leap over its hood, and land in a living fence along the road. The living fence is what saved me. I got away with some bruises, a minor dislocated shoulder, but my motorcycle was seriously damaged and needed expensive repairs. A week later, I had another dream about the bear. It was the same room, the same flickering light, and the looming hurricane outside. Only this time, the stuffed toy looked dirty and tattered, with bits of cotton sticking out from cuts in its fabric. The teddy bear still persistently pointed at me with its paw. The dream had an oppressive effect on me. For some reason, I clearly remembered sitting by the window in the twilight in my early childhood, holding the toy and waiting for my parents to return from work. A couple of days later, another disaster struck. There was an explosion in our garage while we were working on welding the parts of my severely damaged motorcycle. An ember from the welding work somehow got into an open gasoline canister, causing a powerful explosion. My friend broke his arm, but miraculously, I didn't even get a scratch. Surprisingly, our possessions in the garage remained mostly undamaged. I managed to put out the fire by myself, without calling the fire department. They wrote about me in the newspapers and wanted to do a local television report about me. But apparently, my burnt beard and bewildered appearance scared off the television crew. So, back then, the friend who broke his arm jokingly suggested that maybe the girl was getting back at me. And I started thinking, not about the girl, but about the teddy bear. For some reason, I really didn't want it to appear in my dreams again. I even decided to go to the dacha, which was practically abandoned that day, to search for the teddy bear among the attic and basement clutter. But somehow, I never got around to making that trip. And exactly 1 week later, the bear appeared in my dream once more. The same dreadful room, but this time the bear looked even more tattered, with its paws and face charred. One of its button eyes was almost falling off, hanging by a thread. It seemed like it was barely holding together, but still, it stubbornly beckoned me to pay attention to something. After this dream, I drew some conclusions. I practically stopped leaving my house, checking several times a day to make sure I hadn't forgotten to turn off the gas or left an iron plugged in. But I still had to go to the grocery store nearby. During one of these grocery runs, some junkies attacked me in the stairwell. They beat me mercilessly, wanting to steal the keys to my apartment. They pushed me down and kicked me methodically. They even stabbed me in the collarbone with a knife and broke my nose. I fought back with all my might. Luckily, someone from the neighbors upstairs heard the commotion and called the police. The attackers fled, and I, barely alive, managed to crawl to my apartment. I found something written in red, possibly lipstick, on the bathroom mirror. It said, "I hate you." I hadn't been in the apartment for about 15 minutes. To this day, I can't explain where it came from. By the way, the junkies were caught and jailed. As soon as I recovered from the attack, with a plaster on my nose and my shoulder bandaged, I went to the dacha. I scoured it from top to bottom, and in the farthest corner, in a dusty sack used for potatoes, I found the teddy bear. First, I pulled out the bear's head, which had been eaten away, and then the body, with bits of cotton protruding through numerous tears. I spent an hour trying to find the lost eye bead in the small debris at the bottom of the sack, but never found it. I took the bear home and personally repaired it, even though I had no experience in that area. I washed it, refilled it with new cotton, stitched it up carefully, and even lightly ironed it. I attached a black eye patch in place of the lost eye, like a pirate. Later, with the help of an acquaintance from a tailor shop, I dressed the bear in a tiny leather jacket with small rivets. Since then, the bear sits prominently in my garage, and sometimes I place it on my motorcycle's handlebars, and we ride through the city or in motorcycle processions. At first, my club members laughed, but they got used to it, and the toy even became a sort of our talisman. I've had a long-standing dream of opening a bar for bikers, and I will open it. I came up with a name for it, One-Eyed Bear. As for that girl, I did some research. Her former girlfriend told me that she had left the city, probably to her relatives in Altai. This happened after they found her in the park, dressed in clothes torn to shreds, as if by the claws of a large animal. She was sitting on a bench, muttering something, and clenching a bright blue plastic bead in her hand.